this off.
On Monday mornings, Mrs. Seneki would ask us, "Ma sitem besof hashavua?" What did you do on the weekend? Unfazed by grammatical rules like plural and singular, I'd answer, "Ani sichachti sheshbesh." I played backgammon. Va'achalti chamesh mishmesh, and ate 5 apricot. Betoch hamaktesh, inside the crater. Lehitlach lech, to get dirty. Yesh lanu kef, we have fun. And she'd shake her head from right to left, and I'd hang mine in shame. But this part of me didn't give an F. I was rhyming in Hebrew, and every Monday morning I had something new and exciting to share with the class about my weekend. Kiviti et haor, v'shavarti et kinor, v'savati chamo shahor. I switched off the light and smashed the violin and painted donkey black. Ve'az nitachti al halev shel kelev be'erev. I operated on the heart of dog in the evening. Kaniti dag echad bechag shel chalav. I bought 1 fish at the festival of milk. Lakachti chatul lashul vayalo amon shilshul. I took Cat to synagogue. He had a lot of diarrhea. So I had a lot of pets. That's when she dish out her threats. I'll have no choice but to fail you. If only she knew that I wasn't trying to make her play the shrew. I was just doing what I knew how to do. I was rhyming in Hebrew. "Describe your room," she said. "Don't take too long." So I wrote about my ballon al yad hachalon, balloon next to the window, that I wash with sabon, soap, obviously, and my melefefon, cucumber. Then I signed off, "Shalom." Yes, I was just peacefully rhyming in Hebrew, but still Mrs. Seneki would continue to growl, her hostility grew. "I'll have no choice but to fail you." Teenage tears would ensue. Until the fateful day I think I finally got through. It was a Thursday afternoon, and she handed back my homework with no red pen corrections. What I hoped was evidence of our first ever connection turned out to be yet another blunt rejection. Do you know why I cannot even mark this? In a state of disaffection and involuntary bodily convection, I looked at her lips all pursed and pouted, and I mustered up the courage, all the chutzpah, and I shouted, "Yes, I'm aware my prepositions are all over the place, but that shouldn't matter. We're just learning about the face. So what if I wrote Yesh lachem af b'mayim v'raglayim be'oznayim? We have nose in water and feet in ears. Ofanayim b'shinayim, bicycles in teeth. V'zayin ba'ayin, penis in eye. Instead of simply transcribing this week's milon, it's vocab. That's not the way that I learn. So what if I got all my pronouns wrong? In my secret world of rhymes, all this shit makes sense. There's no need for past or present tense because one day, Mrs. Seneki, I'm going to be a meshorer, poet, masculine. So I don't care if this stuff's incomprehensible to you. Besides, there's nothing you can possibly do or say to make me stop my rhyming. There's no point in even trying. Go on, scold and yell. Send me to the Menahel principle. There will be no suspension. There won't even be detention. No pretension of being the least bit disappointed. As pious as he may be, he was a humble English teacher before he got anointed. So I'm going to suggest you try to act just that little bit impressed, right? Bless your lucky stars, Baruch Hashem, you've been blessed with a potential literary ge'eonit. Genius. One day you can smile, look back and say, I remember, she used to sit in the second row center next to Gabby. And Women's Day will pay big bucks for your story. You'll get your picture in the Herald and your name in all its glory. People around Australia will read it in the morning paper with their coffee over brekkie. Headline, spoken word superstar Tammy Sussman says, it all started with Seneki. Thank you very much. Mrs. Seneki has become a bit of a cult figure now in the Sydney comedy scene. I performed that poem at my recent 3 shows at the Sydney Comedy Festival. Everyone all around Sydney wants to meet Mrs. Seneki. She knows about the poem. She does. She tutors my cousins who still attend Mariah College in Hebrew, and she knows about the poem. I do plan on sending her some free tickets to my next show. So this workshop is on spoken word. Spoken word. What? I made a PowerPoint presentation because I'm very professional. And obviously keep up with the latest technology. So spoken word, a form of performance art that is word-based. In entertainment, spoken word performances generally consist of storytelling or poetry. Spoken word poetry is often performed in a competitive setting, and these events are called poetry slams. Has anyone here heard of the poetry slam kind of thing? No? That's fine if you haven't, that's good. In the States, this kind of forum is huge. It's just starting to really get some attention in Australia. A man called Miles Merrill brought the Australian slamming to Australia, and he did that in the 90s, and it's only now getting enough funding that they held the Australian Poetry Slam at Sydney Theatre last year. So, my next question is what I'm about to show you spoken word? And with any luck, the technology will work, and I'll just be able to click on something and it'll play. Do I need to turn the light off?
One day I'm gonna beat it. Too busy obsessing over this hairline receding. And people like Jake's mom crying. They won't see their son this holiday season than any other. In fact, it's kinda sad and inevitable that one day I won't have a dad. Will I grow up with enough cash to have my own patch? Home to work, no need to brag when it's gone. Slow down, man, you're driving too fast on the song. It ain't on, yeah. Can you say pray or the yes? I'm inspired by friends just because they not sitting in the cell. My middle school crush getting married next week, and I'm bidding her farewell. Things are get to Israel. Open my heart's mouth. 36 flowers beside my yacht, just empty house. Like the out of the ordinary, no excuse to see. I miss you, I wish it was how it used to be.
Okay, you can leave the lights. Thank you. Someone's just become my lighting bitch. I appreciate that. So this is obviously hip hop. Oh, thank you. Then you're going to have to turn it off again in a few seconds. The poem that you heard me perform before is a spoken word poem. You could obviously get the sense that I work with rhythm as well, and many spoken word artists do, or have found an influence with hip hop because of their rhythm-based kind of word artistry. The next clip. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if I can actually do it from here. Is it an arrow down?
It's just the bottom.
Very good. Very professional. Thank you. This was all planned. Okay, so is the next clip spoken word?
My girlfriend is a Jewish woman, which is I did on purpose. That sounded creepy. I don't mean like, I got one. I mean like, I am not Jewish, but I've always really liked Jewish people. I just like them a lot. And I really like dating Jewish women. They're great. Because like I think a lot of problems that people have in relationships are with communication, because guys don't know what women are thinking. And with Jewish women, you do not have to guess what they are thinking. They will tell you. Yeah, this is gonna get playfully anti-Semitic, so just allow it to go there. I'll get in trouble, you won't. I really do mean this though. I really admire that Jewish people, in my own personal experience, are very like upfront with their feelings. You know, they're very vocal about their thoughts and feelings, and I think that's really admirable. You know, I'm Irish, and Irish people, they don't tell you a thing. Irish people keep it so bottled up. You know, like the plan with Irish people is like, I'll keep all my emotions right here, and then one day I'll die. Irish people don't want comfort. Look at a sweater made in Ireland. It's like a turtleneck made out of Brillo pads. I used to date Gentile women, and I dated this girl. She would just stare out the window all day long. I'd be like, "What's wrong?" She'd be like, "You wouldn't even understand if I told you." What am I supposed to do with that? My Jewish girlfriend, I don't have to guess what's wrong. She comes in the room and she's like, "My stomach hurts." And then we can move on from there. That's what I mean. She's very focused. She's very in the moment, you know, and that's a good thing in a significant other. She's very present. Jews don't daydream because folks are after them, and they gotta stay sharp, you know what I mean? They haven't let their minds wander since Egypt. They just stay sharp. They go, "Who's that? Who are you? What's that? Put that down."
He's great, isn't he? John Mulaney. I can give you the names of these guys after. So obviously, my poetry, it does have influences from hip hop, but also stand-up comedy. I like to keep my poems, even the ones that do have a serious note to it, funny. I like to have at least one aspect of it that is funny, and those of you that will go, now that you know what spoken word is all about, you'll be going to those slams, you'll see that a lot of people do get up there and use it as an opportunity, can be a little bit self-indulgent to just express their, you know, really heartfelt, dark feelings about the world, and I think that speaks to people, but I personally feel that humour also speaks to people, I mean, in ways that just plain tragedy doesn't. So my next slide, which I don't think we need the lights off for yet, and you might just, is this the light? I can just...
Bottom one.
That one, it says program. That's lighting going on.
Yeah.
Oh look, that's a happy medium. What about that? Okay, so the beautiful, yes, sometimes annoying thing about art is it's very rarely black and white. So although we want to sit here and put things into boxes, that's hip-hop, that's stand-up comedy. Different art forms are always making love to each other, getting pregnant and giving birth to new gorgeous art form babies that grow up, get influenced by other art forms, and then the whole cycle starts again. I wrote that.
Sounds like
Pretty good? Yeah, so why? Why do people perform spoken word? Yeah, I got a bit technical here, like I got into the animations, things sliding onto the screen. Social commentary, to express personal thoughts, to entertain. And that's, you know, the other hand, some people are just out there just to entertain, and that's fine. But, you know, often the ones that work best are the ones that are entertaining, that also have a deeper truth to them, to educate, to inspire others into action. Yeah, so I kind of thought maybe people would want to get a little bit interactive, but I don't know, you don't have to. I could ask you why do you think that they write and perform, or I could just move on. Do you want me to just
Move on.
We'll just move on.
Who's Kosher Dill?
Okay, so Kosher Dills was the hip hop guy with the one. You'll have to listen to his words again because he does talk about going and like buying flowers for Saba and God it is real, and it kind of gets lost in there. But he does. He talks a lot about his Judaism. What is their intention? So as a Jewish writer and performer, I don't wake up some mornings and think, hey, I'm a Jew, I'm going to write something Jewy today. It just sort of happens. So sometimes I do get commissioned to write poems, and the case of the Mr. Sineki poem was when I was asked by a Jewish organisation to write a poem about my previous Jewish education, and that's, I suppose, that idea. I'd always wanted to write a bilingual poem, and that was the kind of idea that I went with, and that was lucky that I had a deadline to work to, and I just had to get something out by then. So that one just came. I know it sounds a bit lame, but sometimes artists talk about an idea for a painting or something, it just kind of happens. They don't ask for it to happen. But I suppose when I write and perform, hello.
Hello,
Hi. No, that's okay. That's awesome. I'm I mean, even when I was at drama school and I was performing things that didn't even have a Jewish theme and no one knew I was Jewish, someone came up to me after and said, "You're Jewish, aren't you?" And I said, "How do you know?" And they said, "You just remind me so much of Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld, just your mannerisms." So I suppose it's just in me and I can't escape it. That did annoy me a little bit, yeah, again, it's in me. So this was going to be a bit of a task, but we've just new people that have come in. My audience has expressed that they don't really want to do any tasks, and that's okay. I didn't know what kind of audience we'd get tonight. So, I mean, if we were into doing tasks, I would have got you all to think of a person, a family member, friend, teacher, neighbour who you believe to be a little bit crazy. So we come from Jewish families. We all have someone in our family who we think is a little bit crazy. Just one? Just one. If we were doing this task, I would have asked you to write down what it is about that person that makes you laugh or frustrates you. This workshop will probably go a lot quicker than expected now that we're not doing any of those writing tasks. Does anyone here want to share? No? Okay. Well, luckily...
Tell me, what are you going to do with it? If you had some material to work with.
Well, what I did this workshop with some Year 10 students at a Jewish day school. And that was, I was asked to give this workshop, and I said, look, I don't actually think I'm worthy of giving a workshop at Limwood. And they said, why don't you just do the thing you did with the Year 10 students? And I said, okay, great. So I gave them that task. They had pretty much the same response. But I told them that if they didn't want to do the workshop, that my car needed washing, I'm not kidding, and I said, you're more than welcome to just get some buckets together and you can wash my car instead. A few students came up to me and said, is that really an option? So, what was the question? I'm what to do? So the Year 10 students wrote some of their own poems, and they left them on the floor, and I actually collected them when they left. And I read some of those poems out at my shows. I don't use names, but some of them are great. Usually like, that sus woman is so sus, this workshop sucks. That kind of thing. It's cute. Okay, so luckily I've got together some clips of other Jewish spoken word artists. So before we saw a hip hop artist, if we want to put him in a box, just fitting the new youngins in. Then that was Kosher Dills. Anyone heard of Kosher Dills? Okay, sure. He's a hip-hop artist, American hip-hop artist. Then I showed a clip of John Mulaney, who's a stand-up comic, not Jewish, but does a really great routine about why he likes dating Jewish girls. And now I'm going to show you people who actually make a living out of being spoken word artists. So I'm going to press play, and then I'm going to work out the lights while we do that. Or my lighting bitch might help me. Thank you. I'll introduce myself too at the end. Stop calling me my lighting bitch. Okay, is there volume on this? No, fantastic. We'll try that again. In the meantime, just think about what you'd like to do for the task. Thinking of a family member. Well, that's great. Write a perspective of someone else. This was going to take up 6 minutes, is Sarah and Phil, okay? Okay, great. So you're going to have to look these people up when you get home. That's great. Is that what if there is? Can we get the light on? Okay.